नमस्ते विद्याओं खुश रहिए आई JVWU Muskan Kumari from the Department of Science and Technology and I'm working here as an assistant professor in JVWU Women's University and faculty of science education and methodology. So it's well known to you that your program is in CRE second semester and your course is basically networking program. And in this I will teach to you the today's session is basically what the there are some functions of the TCP which we used in this ones, and that names is like the socket options, how you use the gate socket function and gate socket functions, isn't it? Yes, so we will discuss these three things in this session. So to make it is easy to understand to you, I am just sharing that files. Okay, so please hold on. Yes, here is this files, your socket option and gate sockets and gate socket function is what. Okay, so these are the things which I will discuss today. Now see. Basically, these are implemented over the Unix operating system. Clearly, so at multiple times you will see here the Unix system. Clear? So Unix system provides a number of ways to change the behavior of the socket. They are basically helps you to changing the behaviors of the sockets. That what is the behavior of the socket? The socket connectivity and the data connection establishment. Clear? So behavior of the socket. This includes not only the sets of but also other unique specific functions like the IO schedule, and we focus here only the socket option function and how they are used basically, and in the next session I will discuss the more things about that. Clear? So here the prototype for the gate socket of and set socket of functions are defined here. Basically, see here that has includes system type dot h, has includes socket dot type because you are working on the socket, so you are using the socket and gate socket and set socket. Okay, gate socket of in sockets integer level, and integer is of name, what is the name, and here the opt value and their length. Okay, and there are address of their length, same as it is for these ones also. Now each function accepts an existing socket as the first argument. Clear? As the first argument, each functions get the socket, existing socket, and also get the first arguments. It's important to note that some option must be set prior. There are some options which you must set as a prior to connection establishment during the establishment of the connections, and whereas others can be performed at any time. There are the some options which you must have to attach and make the connections at that particular time, isn't it, like the deadlines type. So there is the some options which you have to must give the priority to make the establishment or for the connections, and some can be performed later at any time. Okay, the second parameter label defines the level of socket option. This is the first parameter, and second parameter label defines the level of the socket option. The label refers to the layer of the networking label. The label refers to the layer of the networking stack for which this socket option will take effect. Okay. Now this table basically shows you the standard socket option label in which we are using the label, their descriptions and option prefix. So SOL underscore socket, this is basically the defining the socket layer, and their prefix you can use here direct SO. Okay, and now IP IP protocol underscore TCP. This is basically what TCP transport layer. TCP transport layer, and you can also write this like the only option prefix like the TCP underscore, and here IP protocols for which IP, then this will defining you the The next argument, opt name, defines the particular option. Op name means option name. Okay? It's just like the option name, which defines the particular options that we have desired to read and write. Isn't it? What you have desired to read and write over the connections, establishment of the connections. You can use here the option name, that is written as the OPT. Right? Now, option value. OPTVAL is a pointer to a variable that defines the value that we want to write. Whatever you want to write over the established connection, so you have to define must a variable, and that variable defines the value. Clear? So here it is written that the variables that define the value we want to write on the location for the option value read from the sockets. The value which is read by the sockets through the socket. And if suppose if you want to perform both operations like the read and write, then this will be void pointer because there are number of different types that can be specified. Finally, the and also take the length of the option, so you can use the OPT at the end, defines the length of the variable. To whom? What options? The variable to whom you are using to replacing the connections. Result. So OPT alien defines the length of the variable passed in the OPT value, and because of this can be the number of different types of scalars of the structure. The opt length parameter provides the size of the opt value, and also in the case of get socket option, and return the resulting like size of the opt value option value as the resultant parameter. Clear? So I'm just also going to one time here, repeating here like this. That OPT of name is basically the option name, whatever you want to do, the establish the connections regarding that things here. So that is the that things, and here you are using the read and write operation. Option value is basically defining the one variables and that variables value which you want to make it for the connections. Clear? Now, if you want to suppose to do both operations like the read and write, then there is a pointer value is required because the number of the different types can be also be specified in that things. Okay, and opt length option. This is basically define the length of your option name, what you have choose the variable name clearly, and you pass. Finally, the option length defines the basically the length of the variable which you have passed in the option value. Clear? Because they are the number of the different types of the scalars and the structures are also used in the option length parameter provides the size. Length parameter provides you the size of the option value, and in this case of the get socket option return the resulting size of the option value what you have passed in that. Clear? As a result value also. Now, if we come to the next, then let's look at a quick example for both gate socket and set socket option. In this example, we are going to use the size of both are basically used to read out the size of same socket buffer. It means socket option, and here is the socket SN. They send socket buffer. What is this meaning? SND PUF. This is basically defining the same to whom what same socket buffer. Yes, socket same. Clear? So the socket same buffer is a socket layer option with the label of socket listen socket. Clear? So now listing, getting, and then setting the same buffer size for a socket. What is the here? In socket, you will use here the listing here socket and RET rate. It will set the socket size and their length. Socket equals to socket AF and internet socket string and their length suppose here in 0. Length equals to what? Size of size to whom that variables, that sockets, what you are using integer, rate equals to what you are using here the get socket option, socket and socket using socket. So socket same buffer and void size socket length and length size here into multiply by 2. Okay, and the rate here you use your one time gate socket and now you are using the set socket and the same thing is repeated in here and you are getting here for the size of the socket. Okay, both gate socket and set socket returns 0. Here you are seeing that the 0, isn't it? Why? What's happening? Why it's returning the 0? Clear? So what happening here that why it's returning the 0? Then you can say that both return 0 and on the success. Suppose if your connection is going to be established and that was the highly connected and successfully connected, then you can say that returning value is 0 and -1 gets then it's mean there is an error occurred during the connection of the socket. Clear? Socket options are an important element of socket programming and they can help you to improve the performance, increase reliability and simply change the standard behavior of the socket. Clear? So this is basically defining these all the things which I have discussed already. And suppose in this there may be some questions arises like what? Define the gate socket option and set socket option. What do you mean by this? Explain this with an example. Clear. So suppose sometimes this questions may also arises. What is the difference between the gate socket and the set socket? Or explain the set socket with an example. Or which is the prior in this both of these socket options like gate socket or the set socket. Isn't it clear? So and some why we need the set sockets and what is the important role of send buffer, right? What is the important role of send buffer and what is the important role of buffer in this one? Please explain it deeply. Then you have to explain this rights here and give an example in the whole form like simple instead of the full form. Okay, and sometimes it also means what do you mean by the opt length and what do you mean by the opt value, how you can say that the opt length opt length, it means the length of the variable passed into the opt value and what is the importance of this, why we are passing the length into the option value, isn't it there? So you have to define these all the things and here is the basically options which I have discussed the socket options. In this we have used studied to discuss to gate socket and the set socket function and I hope that you all understand this thing and suppose if you have any problem in this session then please send your query into the comment section box and due to that, I will discuss that your query breakthrough in the next session. And that's why this session is over. And please read this session from different standard book also, this book, computer networking book also, paper. And use also you can also refer the different sites like tutorial points, Gates for Gates, Java 2 point, isn't it? Yes, and Gate Vidyalaya also. Okay,